Yeah.
Maybe he's been in France too long, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Cut those first 2 minutes there, please, Ben.
Yeah. Note for Chris, we won't put that bit in.
Am I right to eat my ginger nicky?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should be all right, just as long as it doesn't rustle or like all the...
Oh, right, okay. Yeah.
George having his lunch. Was that breakfast?
It's in betweens.
Brunch,
yeah.
Can't beat a second breakfast, mate.
No, you can't. Not when it's one of them as well. Pretty
What
dear,
is it?
but it's ginger nicky, so it's like a fly pie sort of thing with ginger on top.
Does look nice, to be fair.
Oh, I mean, I'm not going to share it, but I'd recommend you have one. Yeah, go and get it.
Is this a new Range of Varga?
No, this is all. They sent it. It's like,
the old
I've not
ones,
seen
aren't
anyone
they?
wear
Yeah.
it.
It
They
is
sent
Varga,
it to me.
is it?
Yeah.
I had the grey one.
Yeah, John, me and Dan Howarth were in like the Alps in 2020 or something like that. We just went out in the vans and just tried to beat all these curfews and all that sort of stuff. So we're just dotting around.
Is that when you did Ultrax as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you. Yeah, 'cause you did a shoot, I think.
Yeah.
for mine, didn't you?
Yeah. So
remember,
like John just messaged us out of the blue. I was like, see you're in the Alps. Like we're in the Alps at the minute. Do you fancy just coming and doing a shoot with us? I'm like, yeah, sound okay. There's a cap in it for you. I was like, mint. Because you think, fucking free cap, brilliant. So we went out to go meet him in Marseille and did like a run with him, gave us loads of caps. And he just sends me caps every now and then.
Yeah,
Just mint,
happy days,
really good.
yeah.
So this has come through and it's the only one that fits my head properly. So
No, that's good.
Yeah, I've not seen that one for a while.
yeah. It's like mental health thing, I think. So.
Yeah, that was it. And I think, what is it on the side? Some Born in
Born on
that
Lakes,
the
one
big
or
sign
world or
there.
something like that. Yeah, but
Yeah, one of my kids nicked mine, I think. Great.
it's annoying that it says full send because you feel like a bit of a knobhead. Like, full send, nice one, guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's different though, isn't it? I like it.
Yeah, it's different. It's pink, isn't it? So bit of a change.
Because once that one they won't come, like I said, they changed the whole shape and everything of them. So, but I used to wear that on the bike as well.
Did you?
Yeah,
Like under your helmet, sort of
under
thing?
the helmet.
Oh,
Yeah,
fashionable.
yeah.
Almost like a little cycling cap.
Yeah, I still wear the short peak ones under the hat.
Yeah, I like racing in the shop.
Basically, because they send them me, and I won't buy anything cycling related because they don't send them me.
Yeah, they're good. Good caps.
Should we get straight into it?
Get on, mate. It's George is ready. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't want to be late for when Tierney arrives, or he'll just swear, won't he?
He'll be half hour late anyways.
Probably actually.
He's
He already
never on
messaged
time,
to
is
say
he?
he was running late.
Oh,
So.
did he?
Yeah. Yesterday. So
At least he tells you. So, he's already planned to be late. That's the thing.
it's never going to end well, is
No.
it? You might have to stay on and co-present
Yeah,
as
just start
Gary has to go.
talking, yeah. Oh, have you got to go, have you? Have you come this morning?
Yeah. I've got to go and get the kids later on. Yeah.
How long did that take you to get up? A couple of hours?
2 hours. It's all right. 2 hours is good, I think.
Yeah, it's not bad actually.
Did you come through this morning as well?
Yeah, it's an hour and a quarter for me, so it's pretty good.
Grassington, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's straight up A65, and then
We were both meant to,
No
we're
problem.
both going to be in the lakes yesterday, but it didn't happen, so came up early instead.
yeah, set the alarm clock.
Yeah.
But now let's get straight in. So, welcome to the RUNcensored podcast with Gary House, me, Ben Mounsey, and special guest today, George Foster. George, welcome.
Thanks. Hello. You all right?
You a podcast fan, George? You've been listening to us?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Long time listener, first time caller sort of thing.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on, mate.
Which is your favourite episode?
Oh gosh, don't ask me
You
that.
have to
'cause-
test it.
the second one.
It'll be this one when it comes out live. won't it?
Usually,
I
the
don't know
greatest
about
hits.
Yeah, all of them, Gary. They're all
All of
brilliant.
them.
Yeah, I'd recommend just going right to the start and
Well,
just listen all the way through.
Your first challenge, George, you got to introduce yourself. That's how it happens on the podcast. They've taken that responsibility off me now. I would
right.
do a sterling job, obviously, but I'm going to let you introduce yourself, mate.
What do you want to know?
What's your name and where'd you come from?
George Foster, as you said, come down from Thornthwaite today by Keswick, so a couple of miles outside of Keswick. And I guess I'm a runner, obviously, I suppose, for being on this. Work as a firefighter over in Darlington. And I've got a cat.
I like that fun fact. I
Yeah.
like that, yeah. Bit of climbing as well.
Yeah,
I
yeah. I
know
do a bit
your
of
wife
climbing.
Esther. She's a big
Yeah.
climber as well, isn't she?
Yeah, yeah. Have you met her, did you say?
I just follow her. I'm
Oh,
a
right,
big fan
okay.
on Instagram because
Oh, right,
she's
brilliant.
doing some amazing things.
Yeah,
isn't she?
yeah. She's amazing. Like,
Genuinely,
yeah,
yeah.
so that's how we met, was through climbing.
Yeah.
She was at uni in Ambleside. And there's a shop, what's it called? There's a climbing shop in Ambleside, not the climbing shop.
I was going to say,
Like
is
the
it
other
the
one.
climbing shop? Yeah.
Epicenter, that's it.
Ah, yeah. Great
And there was a
place.
guy, Stuart Wood, used to work in there, and a couple of other guys. It was all climbers used to work in there, and they were like, "Oh, you should come climb with us, last Esther. She's really good." And I was like, "All right, sound." And then we went to Malham near your way, sort of thing,
just
and
over the
did some
road.
climbing. Yeah, and it was just like, "Okay, she's pretty good." So I thought I'd try and keep in there, you know.
Yeah.
And then we've been married 10 years this year. So.
Wow, mate, that's a good story.
Yeah,
I didn't realise
yeah,
that. Right?
so-
Amazing.
Tinder, eh? Just
Yeah.
I know, yeah, just go climbing,
go
yeah.
climbing,
But she like we used to be sort of similar level. That was like my main thing before I got into running.
Yeah.
And now she's always been that bit stronger than me, but she's just street ahead now.
I suppose she's just like fully focused on that, though, isn't she? Because
That's the main
pretty
thing.
much what she's doing, isn't it?
Exactly,
Yeah.
that's the main thing. So her work is sort of climbing, guiding and stuff like that around
Yeah.
the UK. It used to be around the world, around Europe and that, but that's been cut now since the obvious happened in 2020. But yeah, it's mainly sort of just in UK.
And
So great.
and you've done the other thing. You've gone fully or mostly into running now, haven't you? So you've moved away from the climbing. And it was a very modest introduction, by the way. We'll touch upon some of your achievements, George, because you played that right down. You are an incredible runner across all distances, I might add as well. But yeah, you're focused on that now as opposed to climbing, aren't you?
Yeah, so that's that sort of focus. So just after I met Esther in 2011, joined the army, and then them. I mean, I don't know if you know much about the army, but they're quite into their running. So we did like a lot of running with like boots on, all that sort of stuff. So just got more into running, and obviously climbing took a back burner. And when you're doing something a bit less, you get skill fade, don't you? And so I just got weaker and weaker, but was a little bit faster in running, and then decided that I might have a bit of a talent for running in 2017. So got into it much more and started to actually properly sort of train. And then when I left the army in 2018, just got like right into it really.
Yeah, I mean, you've kicked on since then, haven't you? I mean,
Yeah, I
some
feel like
amazing
it,
achievements, international caps as well. Recently out in Nisego.
Yeah.
So running for England again.
Yeah.
One of many times that you've run for England. How was that experience? Short and fast?
Oh man, have you done it?
I've never done it, but I know that the style is VK on the first day, isn't it?
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
the next day is the up and down classic kind of format. So you race twice in 2 days.
Yeah, so VK
Talk us through
is,
the VK first of all.
Can I swear on this?
Yeah, of course you
Fuck
can.
me, it's steep, like it's ridiculous. So it's 2.5k, no, sorry, 2.5 miles, sorry, 1,000 meters of climbing, just over. And Sarah Tunstall and Matt Crosdale were the sort of team managers, and I think Sarah's done it before, or they know about it before, and they were like, "Oh, it's relatively runnable at the start, and then it gets really steep the last sort of half a k or like a k or whatever." And I was like, "All right, like relatively runnable, it's fucking not. Like it's super steep, and then it gets ridiculously steep."
Was Robbie out there, Simpson?
Yeah.
I saw he shared it was near the top of it, and look.
I mean, it was
It's disgusting. Yeah.
unbelievable field. But just for the people kind of watching or listening who don't know anything about VK races, I've done a few of them now. I actually love them, but hate them at the same
Yeah,
time.
100%.
But they're so hard, aren't they? So it's 1,000 meters of climb off the bat, and it's within, I think, is it 3 or 4 miles?
5k maximum
5K
you can
maximum,
do, so
yeah.
3 and a bit mile, yeah.
With no downhill, it's like pure up. So you can't physically have one in England, can you? Because we
No.
haven't got anything above 1,000 meters.
There's
for a
something in
start.
Scotland. There's
Yeah,
one in
Scotland. There's
they've
definitely one
done.
because there was one part of the Salomon Skyline series, wasn't there? You know when
That's
they, and then they did do one on Snowdon, but it did have some descent, so I don't know if it could be classed as a pure VK route. So I know there was a little bit of downhill in that to make it up to 1,000 meters. But generally, these races take place all across Europe. Well, all across the world actually. There's a VK World Circuit, isn't there?
Yeah.
It's just not a hugely popular sport in this country because we haven't got the height of the mountains to do it. But it's intense, isn't it? Like,
It's disgusting, yeah. It's
Yeah.
genuinely disgusting. Like I got to the top and I thought I might die. like honestly, I led down. I was just like, oh my god, like trying to just your vision goes like pinprick sort of stuff. And towards the top,
that
you just,
effort is like nothing else, isn't it?
Yeah.
And even though it's such a short race, you probably felt as knackered doing that as you did doing maybe like one of your ultra races, because it's a different kind of exertion, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like it's all in. It's a bit like a Bofra on speed, isn't it? But without the
100%,
downhill.
yeah. And it's like when I looked at the data on my watch afterwards, like Strava sort of thing, you watch doesn't think you're moving because you're moving so slowly that it stops. If you ever get that when it's so steep that it just stops and it's like, oh, you've obviously stopped running or moving or whatever. It's like, no, I'm going, but I'm just not going very quick.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. But I mean, it's great. And I think if we had that option over here, you'd be an absolute monster, wouldn't you? You'd be so strong.
Yeah,
if you do one of them a month or something, or one every couple of weeks.
Yeah,
I love them. I love the format. I like the fact that it's over pretty quick because it's such a fast, intense effort. And I love the short races, as you both know. I'm not a natural climber, but there's something about that kind of event that I just love. And I'm not even good at it, but I just like doing them. And
it's
I've
completely pure, isn't it?
It's pure. There's nothing else. Yeah, there's no hiding from it.
I always love how they can factor it into these races though as well, because it's like me who's more into the longer stuff. Like a lot of these weekends will have the VK.
It's like the
a night before,
like
or the first evening or something,
Yeah,
and you can climb up the hill and watch the VK, everyone going at it at the VK or something.
That's one thing I will say, they're great to spectate.
Yeah.
I love watching them. And you could actually do the VK whilst you're spectating, but just at a slower pace, which is really nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know you've photographed a few of them as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I try to, yeah. And it's, and just Italian racing culture as well, just going back to Nisego in general. And I did Venoni last year you've done Venoni a few times.
Yeah, many times.
Amazing,
it's my 10th year this year.
Is it? Yeah. So, flipping heck, it's just great. They absolutely love it.
It's kind of like Tour de France atmosphere, isn't it?
Probably
Vibes,
the closest you're going to get to it. Yeah,
I think
apart
so.
from maybe like Zagama or something where you
exactly.
Christy climb. But yeah, it's amazing.
By the way, there's a VK at Zagama as well the day before. I couldn't get an entry last year, otherwise I would have done it. But I went and watched it and I ran it as, part of that experience. As I said, it's great to spectate and also do the VK.
Yeah.
But that's the beautiful thing about those courses. I just think they're so accessible in the sense that, it's not that long, but then at the same time to do a race like that, it just takes an incredible amount of effort. And I think you've got to specifically train for that kind of event. If you're doing the circuit and the World Series, you've got to be training in a totally different way, haven't you?
Well, funny you say that. Do you know Rory Abernathy? Scottish runner. Yeah. So he had an absolutely storming run in the VK. I can't remember where he came. Top 20 definitely, maybe top 15.
Wow.
I might be doing him a disservice. He might have even got top 10. I don't think so, but it might be. If it was that good, he just flew up. And his training for it, not specifically for it or anything like that, but he's just been lugging water up to these willow trees up in Scotland.
Is that right?
Like every day, just walking up with like how many litres of water on his back, 15 kilos of stuff, just walking up and just watering these trees and walking back down.
Not on purpose. That wasn't in.
No, that wasn't like, right, in order to get good at Nisego thing, I'm going to do that. But it was just, that's what he was doing, and he just got super strong from that, he said.
No way,
yeah.
Have you ever had anybody, Gary, that you've coached that has been into that kind of racing and has specifically asked for training plans around those kind of intense short races?
I've had some strange ones. There's like, I coach a couple of guys that are out in basically out in Europe, and they just, like George said, they get to race them more often. So it's usually not, I've not got anyone that's specifically targeting them, but they'll be doing 23 to 40k races, but they're out quite often doing these VKs, and it's great because there's two people I'm thinking of, both complete ends of the scale. One's quite a talented runner, and the other one's just out for the fun of it, to be honest. And they're both doing these VKs and stuff. As part of their training. There's, like you say, you don't need to tell them much else, but just give it beans basically, and that's your training session for today. It's no
pure effort, isn't it?
Yeah, you don't. It's not like what science is behind this. It's like you won't push yourself more than you do there. So just go and do it and have fun with it, basically.
There's a couple of things I really love about those type of races, because they are, like you said, attached usually to bigger events, and it's always the kind of the first race. But the fact that you can do that on one day and then race the next, like Nisego, but also it's a time trial format usually as well. So you're setting off not in the mass start, you're running at your own pace, you are going past people or getting past. And I think there's something quite nice about that. I mean, I've recently, as you know, got into orienteering, and that is a time trial format when you set off, and I love it because I feel less pressure as well. I feel like it's you're racing yourself, and you're having to manage your effort, and you're not getting drawn into other people's paces, which is quite nice. Is that how you found it, George, when you did?
Well, this was a mass start for this one.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. So, but I'd love to have done it time trial. I've done one before when it used to be the Dolomite Sky Race before it became Dolomiths or something. So this is a few years ago, back when I wasn't really running all that much, and I did that sort of double header sort of thing. So the VK in one day, and then I think it's 21k next day for that race. And that was a time trial sort of format. So you went off in groups of 3, I think, or 2 or something like that. So you go up like that, and it was good. And that's what I thought it was always going to be about. But the mass start is hard, because I was with Ross Gollan for a bit, not very long, he had a storming race, and we were just chatting. He was like, I think we might have gone off a bit too hard here, but we're trying to measure our effort, and we were towards the back, and just thought, I think we're being sensible, but I don't think we're being sensible. Blah blah blah. And he went off and was much more sensible than me, and ended up doing really really well. But it's hard. It's trying to measure your effort and not get drawn into stupid races, isn't it? It's the same with any distance, ultra stuff, all the way down to VK. You've got to run your own race, I think, as best you can, and then save something for the last few hundred meters or the last couple of Ks, depending on the distance, and then empty it then.
Did you enjoy Nisego the day after the up and down more than the VK, or how was it, the sort of weekend? Talk us through both races then.
It was good. It was just great being out with like the England team, and a really good bunch of runners, and just good crack as well, and yeah, it was the VK I thought I'd do better at, because I've not been running a huge amount lately, so it's mainly been biking. I thought I'd be a bit stronger than I was, and just piled in massively on that. And then the next day you feel it in your legs on the 21k, and it was fast. But then you were a few people that were ahead of me on the VK, they were just going backwards because VK was their thing, and they'd overcooked it on that day. I
suppose you've got to prioritise which one you want to do well. Play to your strengths as well.
Exactly, yeah. So Nick Jackson, she didn't do the VK, and she had a good run at the 21k the next day. So that was the sort of thing. But it was just hard. It was good running, but you always...
Both are hard, aren't they? It's like...
Exactly,
From my point of view, it seems insane doing both at a high level as well.
Exactly. Trying to... I mean, if I could have chosen one or the other, I'd have done the 21k, probably.
Yeah.
But
you'd felt like you'd missed out if you'd not done the VK.
Exactly, and we don't get a chance to do VKs. Yeah, it just looks amazing. You could see it from the hotel. I'm like, flipping out, we're going up there.
Yeah.
So it's really good. But
like that route, the one they use out of Chamonix.
Yeah, straight up the underneath the ski lift. It's classic. Is that?
That's really the beauty of them, though. Is that they're year round. They're always marked, aren't they? Like,
they are.
If you've done the fully one, the one that goes up the old railway.
It's
absolutely horrendous, isn't it?
It really is. Yeah,
that almost made me quit running. Genuinely, like
they can't put you off a life car.
Yeah, genuinely. I got to top and I was like, that's me. Like, what's the point? What's the point?
But that one in Chamonix is amazing, because if you are going to Chamonix for a trip, you can do that as a training run, can't you?
Yeah.
And there's a segment on it, so you can kind of measure yourself against other people.
Pretty sketchy though at the top, isn't it?
It turns into a Via Ferrata right at the top, doesn't it? It's like zigzags all the way up, quite runnable. You get into a rhythm, and then you're kind of on ropes and chains and ladders, aren't you, on the top. So
it's good.
But it's a good training session, and it also makes you appreciate just how talented and fast the top runners are, because the times are insane, aren't they? I think it's a sub 30 now, isn't it, for a VK world record?
Oh, right, yeah.
Off the scale good. And the women's is like low 30s, I think.
Definitely,
which is amazing. But going back to Nisego, the standard of competition there was incredible, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you were part of an England team. There was a Scottish team there, a few other international teams. I mean, I feel like the standard just generally of mountain running, trail running has just been taken up to another level. What do you think? You've been involved in the sport long enough to know now.
Yeah, definitely. I think so, yeah. I mean, starting out fell running, you would have maybe 4 or 5 people that you would see at a race and think, okay, they're probably going to win it. Now it's 10, 15 people over the space of, since I've been doing it properly, 7 or 8 years. And when you go to that sort of thing, it's basically you're not racing for the top 10. I mean, I would look at that and be like, even at my best, I'd be like, I'm not racing for top 10 here. Which is a bit of a negative mindset. But
top 50 is a good result, though, isn't it? And like, I know that when you come back and you'll tell people who aren't involved in the running world, like, I was top 50, and they probably won't be that impressed. But I know, looking in the standard that is there, the depth is there. Like, that's a really good result, isn't it?
Yeah, I was kind of you, because I was definitely just about top 50 in them races. But I see them and think if you're top 20 in them sort of races, then you're one of the world's best.
Yeah,
100%. Especially in that sort of thing, because that was stacked. You've got Kenyan athletes there that you just think, well, they're trotting up the VK, running every single step, and just look like they're going out for a jog.
Yeah,
it's just
you've
the
got
standard
to have very
is crazy.
Specific genetics to be at the top percent of those few percent in that niche of race, haven't you? I think.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think it gets, especially fell running as well. Like, we've got runners that are running sub 14 5Ks.
Yeah,
they're not. That's not crap, is it? And they're running like sub 29 10Ks.
Yeah,
it's impressive.
And yet they're not given the sort of dues that they're maybe due, you know, because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, I mean, Ross Gollan ran 13 something at
52, I think.
Armagh, didn't he?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I saw the result. I was like, well impressed. I texted him straight away because that is fast for somebody who spends all the time on trails and mountains.
Yeah.
I think it's an amazing result. But he's one of many, I think, at the moment who, like you said, don't quite get the praise they deserve, really.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, the standard of British and UK running at the moment in Europe is exceptionally high. You know, yourself included, and you're amongst a group of elite runners like your Ben Rotherys, your Robbie Simpsons, Scout Adkin. I mean, let's give her a bit of a nod here because she was second in both races at Nisego, wasn't she? The VK and the up and down.
Yeah.
And I think she's just shown the quality that is coming out of, you know, the UK at the moment in terms of our homegrown athletes. It's amazing.
I think we punch above our weight, definitely, because we haven't got the altitude, and yet we go and compete. I mean, Nisego wasn't altitude, but Joe Stewart's European mountain running champion, isn't he? For uphill stuff. Yeah. You know, and he's a tree surgeon
from Manchester.
Like Manchester, so or whatever. So it's I just like the fact that we've got this amateur mindset in the UK, and we've got very few proper professional athletes compared to maybe the Italian team where they'll join the army or one of the forces or something like that, and then they are a protected athlete for that bit. We've got a couple. We've got, you know, Robbie is professional, but he's worked hard at it. Obviously, Tom Evans is the same, worked hard at it. But relative to the national teams in France and Italy and places like that, where they are pigeonholed into that sort of and streamed into that elite athlete area, that we're working full-time jobs as well and trying to compete. And then trying to compete at altitude against other people. And it's just, I think we do really, really well. You know?
I do as well. I think that's the big thing. Like you mentioned there, altitude. I've often thought that how we can do so well when we go into Europe. And not only are these people living and training at altitude, like they're competing at altitude, and when we just go straight out there and try and do the same, we've not had that acclimatization. We've not had that training block at altitude, which is it's like a natural drug, isn't it? It's essentially. And it's a big advantage. So the fact that we can go out there and mix it is really impressive. And like you said, they're not professional runners apart from that very, very select few. So.
Exactly. And you're having to take that time off to go and, you know, if you want to compete properly at altitude, you've got to take 3 or 4 weeks off minimum to go and acclimatise and try and get your work to give you 4 weeks, 5 weeks off in one go. It's pretty hard to do, isn't it? So
definitely.
You know, like a little chuck up for Britain there. You know, we do all right, don't we?
Too right, 100%, and flying the flag really well.
And
there,
I think,
George.
like you've touched on, there's a bit, you know, like trail and ultra was almost seen as they're just plodding along and it's slow and stuff, and there's a bit of a disjointed view at some of these times that have been putting in. Like we recently had Andy on and stuff. It's like George has said, some of our fell runners are running sub 15-minute 5Ks on the road. It's like some of these lads now, just that's why it's getting faster and faster, because faster athletes are pushing themselves on trails and fells and in the mountains, and they want to go and experience these races outside the UK. That's where it should be, shouldn't it?
Yeah, the sport's moving on.
That's why
in
it's
the right
gone on
way.
so fast. It's not. I know people like to look to shoes and technology and nutrition and other stuff, but sometimes it's just fast men and women.
Yeah.
Getting into the sport.
You've got to be able to run fast to
exactly,
make
and
shoes
pushing
and
each other
stuff,
and enjoying the sport for what it is, and that's why it's getting faster a lot of the time.
Well, I remember when I got into the team for Thailand a couple of years back, there was someone had I think it was announced on UK Athletics, something like that, on their Twitter thing, and someone had responded to it, something along the lines of, "What's the fucking point watching these guys running 80k? What's the 5k time? I bet it's crap." And I was just like, I'm not too bad at 5k. Like, you know, I've run quite quick, and then I was just wanted to go back and go, actually, people are running sub 15 and they're in the 80k team. Yeah. So wind your neck in, like. But it was funnily enough, he was a guy. He was the father of the lad that I used to teach when I was a teacher.
No way.
Randomly out of nowhere, I was like, oh, I recognise that surname. That's like a West Cumbrian sort of surname. And looked for it. I was like, oh, it's you. Yeah. So
was he always an arse at parents' evening as well?
I mean, you can tell where his lad gets his attitude from. But it was just like, yeah, people don't give it the due it's worth.
Yeah,
and you think,
I think so. Yeah.
You know, I've worked hard to get into this team. And to then just say, oh yeah, but I bet your 5k time's crap or your 10k time's crap. It's like, well, it might be relative to, I don't know, people that are running on the track in the Olympics. Obviously it will be. We're not Olympians, but
you're not specialising in that particular sport.
Exactly. It's
the
literally the
faster,
furthest
I think
away
the
you can get.
faster individuals in these bigger races, it's their range is it's a lot bigger these days, isn't it? You don't get the typical I just do ultras and I just spend all day in the mountains anymore. It's not like George says. You've got to, if you want to be pushing yourselves, you've got to be good at everything to a certain degree. And then the very top in of a 5K track runner obviously isn't going to be also running in the mountains. But
yeah, that's the flip side of it. It's like, I bet that guy that's running your 1330s can't run 80k in the mountains.
Yeah,
No chance.
yeah.
And you look at, like you said, at the Killians, the Jim Walmsleys, Tom Evans, who else is there? Chris Jones. These guys are, like you said, consistently running, in some cases sub 14 on 5k. They can also do 10k, they can do road, they can do track. Chris Jones can do orienteering, and they can go right up to ultra distance running as well, which
and the standard of George is in that England team and other teams around them and stuff. And like he's saying, imagine the standard of runner that's in that race, and versus how many of them are actually supported in running, or they've not got sponsorships, they're not full-time athletes like George was saying. They're just doing it because they love that aspect of the sport, aren't they? To be honest,
definitely.
It's yeah, you're right in saying, but like people should be aware of how good some of them are.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people like that are performing despite what they're doing in life. Like Sharon Taylor, flipping heck, you know.
Let's give her a nod. We're in Staveley actually, filming at the Innovate office. She just lives in Staveley as well, and she's one of the best UK athletes that this country's ever produced.
Exactly.
You know, because you look at what she's done in fell running, the longevity that she's competed at.
GB vest
as well,
with 3 kids, full-time job. I mean, come on,
incredible.
You can't compare like for like, and yet she's doing as well as pro athletes.
She is.
That's amazing.
Hugely impressive.
Yeah.
And we're going to switch it back to you, George, because you are one of those athletes that can compete over the distances. You know, you did the VK a couple of weeks ago, Nisego. You also did the up and down. You can run up and down, and also up to ultra distance. So you know, when you talked about having that place in Thailand, that was for the longer distance team, wasn't it?
Yeah, for the 80k. The long distance trail, whatever you call it.
Some range there that you've got as well. You're part of that, the collective that I've just talked about.
Yeah, trying to expand that range. Yeah, so like I've sort of shied away from longer stuff this year, definitely, or basically for 18 months or so, just because I didn't really enjoy it, all the time you got to put into it, basically, just lazy. So trying to focus on the short stuff this year. But I was just saying before, I've entered another longer race, and I'm not sure whether I'm going to do it. I need to chat to Paul when he.
We've got Paul Tierney coming on next, haven't we?
Yeah.
Who's your coach now as well,
yeah,
which
that's
is
it. Yeah,
perfect timing, so you can ask him some questions about sport.
Always ask for forgiveness, not permission.
Yeah, I've already spoke to him. It's like just take the weekend just to decide if that's something you want to do, and I'll speak to you on Monday. And it's like, okay. So I'm not sure, but basically, I'm trying to do the short stuff now, and with the aim of trying to qualify for the Worlds this year in the uphill, which is literally the opposite end. From 100k races to.
Whenever I've spoke to you in the past, you've always said like that uphill tempo or that uphill running was what you love. Is that
just
still
love it?
Is that still the case?
Absolutely love it. Yeah, it's what you were saying with the VK stuff. I mean, I don't necessarily love VKs, but I just love, like, it used to be a real weakness of mine running uphill. And I was much better descender than I was climber, and then I worked on the climbing, and you just enjoy it, and you find that you're good at it without having to put too much effort in, and it's just quite nice from a competitive point of view to just hear someone behind you and then just hear them getting into the distance as you're going up, and you think,
it's a real confidence boost.
Yeah, I'm putting in on this guy, and it's quite good.
So have you adapted your training then, ready for these kind of shorter efforts, and what you sort of doing typically, and where you kind of training?
I'm mainly biking at the minute. I've just had 2023 was it? I just sort of got back into running quite well, or built up over a couple of years running quite well. Had a good race at Gran Canaria in the February of that year, and then in the March ruptured something in my ankle, like a tendon in my ankle, and then it's just been shite since then, really. 18 months of that. I had surgery last January 2024 on the ankle to finally sort of sort it all out, and then since then it's just all niggles and all that sort of stuff, trying to get back into running, and your body's just like, well, we've just had a year off or whatever, so we need to just chill out a minute.
Baptism of fire.
Yeah, basically, and just trying to get back to stuff that I was at before, and it's difficult when you're injured and stuff, and you think that's where I used to be and this is where I want to be, and they're sort of
it's hard,
trying to marry them all up
mentally
again.
You've been there.
Exactly.
I've had my struggles, mate, as I'm getting older, and I still want to be at that level, and you've done it in the past, but also for me now there's an acceptance that I'm just never going to hit those heights now, age being one thing, but also just it's hard, isn't it? It's hard trying to get back to it and back to that level.
You see it with like fell running. Like, again, to go back to like English and British champions, they'll have a really good year, and then they're not the same runner the next year. They're not winning the champion. It's very rare that you get someone winning back-to-back English and British champs, because they're not. It's because the effort they need to put into it, racing against people that are only getting better as well, and the depth is getting that much more.
And then there's someone else having their best year as well.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's just like, right, and you can see how the motivation goes. So it's just trying to keep motivating and stuff. So I've been mixing up. Luckily, I'm at a point where I can train a lot now, but it's not all running. Definitely not. I'm probably doing. Well, now I'm starting to do more than one session a week of running, and it's mainly just biking and cross-trainer stuff. So one of them sort of
Did you find, I found it quite difficult pushing myself as much as I can on a bike as much as I used to be able to in a run.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like a physiological barrier, to be honest, that I need to get through. Did you find that, or have you always been good on the bike? And it's like, I used to ride road bikes quite a lot before I was a runner, actually.
Yeah.
And I thought I was all right at it. And then when I come back to it 10 years later, it's like, I could shite at it, basically.
Yeah. No, I like, my main barrier with cycling is that I just find it so boring.
Yeah.
It's so boring. Like, cycling down today, I was just like, I can't be arsed going back. I might just get a bus or something like that, just get a bus back home.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, this is rubbish. But it's really good for you. It's no impact, really, is it? And you just get strong. Like, for uphill running, you get really strong off biking.
Yeah.
But it just, the faff factor, if something goes wrong on a bike, I haven't got the skills to fix it. I can do a puncture, but that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like that as well.
I'm similar as well. And that, again, that's sometimes I go for a ride with a friend who I know he knows everything about bikes, like everything. If anything goes wrong, and it's I don't know how you get to that level, because I've been riding bikes for 20 years, and like you said, still, if it's a puncture, yeah. Outside of that, I'm like,
it's just
knocking on my neighbour's door, going.
Yeah, it's like learning anything, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, if you're interested in something, you'll learn it better.
Yeah.
And if you're not interested in it, you're not going to learn it. Like, I always think of a lad that again, when I was teaching, like, gave him a detention, and we're walking back to when I was a trainee teacher, and the other teacher gave him a detention and asked me to go back to the classroom with him. So I was walking back with him. I was like, what's crap with you? Like, why are you so like mardy with people? He's like, I'm just bored. He's like, well, what interests you? I was like, football. I was like, all right, well, name me every Liverpool player for the past whatever. And he would just rattle off these names. Like, what's your Premier League best 11? And he just knew all these stats about stuff. It's like, so you know stuff. You can retain information. Yeah. There's something, you're just not interested in geography.
Maybe he was a Spurs fan and he was just depressed, or like a Man U fan.
Maybe. Yeah.
I don't know. I had a friend whose dad used to give him, when he got in trouble, he'd have to write out a load of Everton scores. So I was like, God, that's one punishment enough being an Everton fan, never mind reciting all the scores. Yeah.
So yeah, you're mixing up the training, bit of cross training. So that's obviously doing you some good. And
yeah, cross training. I mean, you look a bit daft, don't you, in the gym on this cross training thing like that. I got told off by a woman in the gym for sweating too much. I can run a 15-minute 5K, you know. I'm actually quite good at running. In a GB kit like that. Yeah, I got told off for sweating too much by some woman in the gym. Oh, really? Yeah, I was like, I beg your pardon. She was like, I had my earphones in, she was mouthing something towards me, and I was like, I think she's speaking to me. I was like, sorry. And she was like, it's disgusting, that. I was like, what's disgusting? You sweating everywhere. And I was like, I'm in the gym. What do you want me to do?
You're in the women's changing rooms.
Yeah, just like watching like that with my earphones in. I was, but they couldn't see. I mean, she's amazing to see through that little eye hole. Yeah. Well, there we go.
Have you found as well, as you're getting a bit older, and I know you've had your troubles with injuries, that you have to
don't write him off that.
You have to do a bit of cross training as well, though. You can't just kind of run hard every day, because I found that, like, I'm finding that now, like, I can't run every day like I used to. I have to mix it up a little bit.
That wasn't a conscious decision. It was just, in order to train, I had to do something that wasn't running for a bit, just because my body wasn't taking it. Yeah. So I'd get into biking, and now I've just found a good balance. I'm starting to find a good balance between what I can do running and the fact that it doesn't. Basically, like, I want to be able to run as much as I possibly can, but if that starts affecting my ability to run as much as I possibly can, then I have to tail back a bit. And I found that I don't lose much if I do, say, if I'm running 7 times a week or training 7 times a week. If I just do 2 run sessions a week and 5 biking or cross trainer, then it doesn't take anything away from what I'm doing. I can still get quality run sessions and quality bike sessions, just without the worry of. I didn't set out thinking, right, I need to do more biking because I'm apparently getting older. I need to just But it's just sort of come out like that.
Yeah.
So,
No, and I meant kind of
I know what you mean, yeah,
getting older and also becoming more injury prone, because you do, don't you? As
Yeah,
well?
I think so,
And
yeah.
then when you've hammered yourself for years in the army and then in training to be at the level you're at, your body does take a bit of a battering, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
well,
so you've got to adapt.
Chatted to Ricky about Ricky Lightfoot. He was saying it's training age. He had a big thing about training age. It's like, because he's been running and training for 25 years.
Yeah.
Maybe. Whereas I've done 8 or so. So but then that's just running training, but not in counting the army and all that sort of stuff. So that training age catches up with you a lot. So he's finding that it's harder for him maybe to get faster or something like that, because he's almost at a plateau, because his body's just used to all this sort of dynamics that he's put through it. Whereas
I can
maybe I've got a slightly higher ceiling, but we're also, me and him are the same age, and it's just it does get harder. Like you said, you're trying to chase. I mean, when I went to Venoni, I was the oldest by 15 years on my team.
Yeah.
And when I found that out, in fact, I did a race a couple of weeks back in Scotland at De Meyer. So it was my first ever fell race when I was at uni up in Stirling, 2005. And the lad that won it wasn't even born when I last raced it. And that blew me away. I was like, excuse me. It's like, yeah, I'm 19. I was like, you fucking...
Yeah, it's hard, mate, isn't it? Welcome to my world.
I know, it's wild. I've never had that before. I was like, oh, God. So there we go.
And I know we talked about that injury that set you back, but just winding the clock back before that, I know you struggled quite a lot with Red S, didn't you? And that's what I wanted to actually do this podcast on. I mean, it's only taken us about 34 minutes to get here, but we're here now. So Red S, what is it, first of all?
So it's a bit disingenuous for me to say I had Red S. I'd say it was disordered eating rather than an eating disorder. Red S would have been, if it hadn't been picked up by my coach at the time, Martin, and blood tests and all that sort of stuff, there's no doubt it would have developed into that. So it was a bit disingenuous for me to insinuate that it was that. But disordered eating, 100%. And it's like overtraining syndrome almost. In the sense that it just creeps up on you. It did for me. I was just doing all these hard sessions. I was training brilliantly, or training a lot, but I wasn't training brilliantly. I was just, my times weren't getting fast, and I was tired, and it was just like, oh, maybe I'm just doing a bit too much. But you know that at the back of your head, I'm doing a bit too much, I'm not recovering enough. But in reality, you're there going, at the front of your head, you're going, I need to go harder, I need to train harder. I'm obviously, whatever I'm doing is obviously not working. So I try and train harder. But effectively, we did a blood test, found that I was anemic. I don't remember the exact numbers that you're meant to be getting as an adult male, non-athlete or adult male.
Ferritin numbers.
Levels, in the blood test. And I was 7, so single digit. And the doctor, to the point where the doctor rang me up and went, you need to come in today to see me. I think you're meant to be at 20 is the minimum for a non...
That's what I was going to say.
Athletics is 50, So I was extremely low, and it took months to get back my iron levels to get back up. But that's a telltale sign that there's something wrong with what you're doing. Because even I mean, you're bleeding basically. You're bleeding that out somehow. So every time you run, especially altitude and all that sort of stuff, you're losing those blood cells and stuff.
Obviously impacting on health and performance, quite significantly. I'd say.
And you see, I mean, it's embarrassing to talk about, but you see things like your sex drive goes right down. You're tired all the time. You're irritable all the time. I'm probably a mardy bugger anyway, but you're irritable all the time and stuff, and you're not training very well, and it's just this cascading sort of thing. And until someone actually says, let's have a look at your diet, do a diet sort of diary, and I say, like, you're barely getting 2,000 calories a day. That's what you need. Just to function, and you're trying to run 80k, 100k, you're going to need 5,000-6,000 calories a day, potentially, when you're training. So you're having a third of that. And no wonder you crap.
It's not putting enough fuel in the tank, is it? And that's what Red S is, isn't it? Is it relative energy disorder in sport? Deficiency in sport, is it? I mean, obviously had to change something there then, didn't you? So what did you do after that, kind of diagnosis? What did you do differently, and what did you have to change?
It's as simple as just changing your relationship with food. I would weigh myself.
Were you aware with it? Because I've touched on it with you. In hindsight, in knowing what I know now as a coach and as a runner and being in it, I think I suffered with the same thing. But I think I was lucky in the fact I had the naivety of youth almost, and I got away with it because I look back at pictures and I was entering races and stuff, and it's not good to look at the pictures of myself now. And I think with my top off after a fell race, and it's literally skin and bones.
Yeah.
But I was running for about a year really well. Yeah, and then it kind of nosedived a bit. But it was when I was living in Manchester as well, and I just had no money really. So I was eating crap, low amounts, training up, loads of time on my hands because I wasn't like in terms of everything else. And then I remember it was my mum said go to a doctor maybe to check, because I didn't assume that anything I was doing fitness-wise was causing the issues I had.
Yeah.
So I went to a doctor, and I think I said to you, and I said, I'm drastically losing weight. Like my jeans, I had no arse in my jeans and stuff. And I said, I'm losing weight, but I'm not trying to lose weight.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And
Yeah.
I'm just running a lot. And he said, oh, if you want to be healthier, just eat more seeds and pulses. This was a GP. I just probably got unlucky or whatever. And it's going back 20 years now, really, thinking about it. So the knowledge maybe wasn't there and stuff. And it was just through luck, I think. I just steered it the other way. And because I was young, I got away with it. But I was just wondering, I didn't really switch on to the fact that I was doing anything wrong. And it wasn't like I was making a conscious decision to eat less, to be lighter or faster, or sometimes that can happen. It was just a culmination of situations left me like that. I was wondering if you had any light bulb moments, or it was maybe Martin who just said, get it checked, or what?
Martin said, get it checked. I think, if I'm honest, I think I knew that I was doing something not right. I'd weigh myself 4 or 5 times a day.
Yeah.
Literally.
That was one thing I was going to say. Like I remember myself, and it was just, I've got one of these minds that like I want to, almost like a bit obsessive. I was weighing myself every day, but for no reason. I wasn't doing anything with that information. I didn't really know what it even meant.
Yeah.
But the number was going down, and I ended up going to a doctor saying, why is it going down? But I think in the back of my head, if it had started going up, I wouldn't have liked that.
Yeah.
But it was going down, so it was all good.
And I think as well, if you're into trail and mountain running and you are climbing, like weight is important, isn't it? And if you see those numbers going down,
and I felt good for you, and I was running
faster.
faster than I'd been before, and I was stronger. But I took the sport more seriously as well. So it wasn't. It's what was causing that. I don't know. I think I just got lucky, because I think, like George said, I didn't specifically have Red S how we know it is now, but I was borderline if I didn't have it, and I didn't have a healthy relationship with food, and I can't even remember what caused me to point the needle the other way. I was just wondering if you had to make conscious decisions to make it the other way.
I did once I knew what I was dealing with.
Yeah.
But I mean, so when I started running in the army, I was 83 kilos. When I left the army, I was 71. And we were away on deployment at that time when I started running. So I was just running laps around this sort of camp when we weren't out. But I mean, that's a significant, in 6 months.
That's a lot, isn't it?
12 kilos.
Yeah.
I mean,
Noticeable as well.
Yeah, that's like you've got diarrhea and vomiting, and you lose it through food poisoning pretty much.
Yeah.
But this is over a 6-month period, and that's just purely from running, and I wasn't eating that much then. And like you said, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You start to see your results go up because you've lost a bit of weight, but it's just masking an issue. It will catch you. It will get you eventually. It will come back and haunt you. And I've compounded. I mean, you can unpack loads of it. I've lost loads of weight really quickly. Performance goes up a little bit because it probably will. Because I'm running more, but my thought is like, no, I'm not training more. I've just lost weight. That's why I'm faster.
Yeah.
No, you're just fucking running more because you're training for a change.
Yeah.
So that's why I got fast. And then you'd see results come back from that in a short term, and you think brilliant. And then they start to tail off just enough that you think I need to train harder. So you become really clean eater. I was a really clean eater. I wouldn't have much sugar and all that sort of stuff. Got my little ginger Nicky now. But before that, you'd have like a chocolate bar and you think, oh fucking hell. I mean, not ever to the point where I was making myself sick or anything like that. It wasn't an eating disorder, but it was disordered eating. It would play on my mind and I'd have it, and I'd be like, right, I probably need to go for a run again.
Would
now.
you feel guilty after eating something like that?
Kind of, yeah. I wouldn't beat myself up over it, but it would be on the back of your mind. I'd be like, right, I go and weigh myself, just double, and it's just daft, isn't it? When you think about it, it's like
And like George said, I definitely had periods where I'd even put sweets or something in my mouth and then take them out again, and it's like, and put them in the bin. And that was just conscious, and it's like, again, it's not full on, I wouldn't class it as an eating disorder, but like you said, disordered eating's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
That's not the best behaviour to have, is it?
No, it's not normal behaviour, is it,
exactly.
to be doing that as an adult?
And it was like, I was just eating tuna and plain pasta.
Yeah.
One, because of money, but two, because it was like, I liked food at the time, and a bag of salad on the side. And my friends I'd catch up with friends because people around you all the time don't notice necessarily, but I'd catch up with friends every couple of months. Like, the same old jokes like 20 years ago. Fucking hell, you're skinny as fuck kind of thing. Yeah. And that would almost give me confidence that I was running well.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there. It's the fact that you start to see the results when you start to lose the weight. And I think that's, people associate those two things together, don't they? If you're going to get success, you've got to be the almost the leanest, skinniest, lightest version of yourself. And 100%. It will get to a point where it's no longer sustainable, isn't it? And we do, unfortunately, see it. I think it's becoming more commonplace in our sport, whether that's because there's more people running now. But I do notice it a lot in women. I would never mention any names here, but you can sort of see when somebody's on that path and that, almost like that, I say that incline in performance, but that decline in health.
100%. I've noticed it on trips I've been on recently.
Yeah.
And you're there and you go, my God, that is what you're doing is what I've done. And like, you need to say something, or you need to just wise up to it or something, because that is textbook disordered eating. People picking bits off the food and only eating that and ditching the rest, or taking something for afters and it goes in the bin.
Yeah.
You know, out of sight, out of mind sort of thing. And it's just like, that's the start of a downward curve. Like, you're going to be.
When it was mentioned to you by Martin, was there an acceptance straight away that everything kind of make sense? Or it was an answer to a problem I didn't know I had at the time, and then you get it and you go, So that's a light bulb moment. Yeah. But that was after the fact, isn't it? You know, the damage is done by then.
I think for me, because I've had ferritin tests and stuff a long time ago, and I think that's, as long as because ultimately you want to be a better runner, don't you? And I think sometimes, and I'm blanketing a little bit, but the men I've had this with as well that I've coached, and it's like, as if you give them a number and it's very low, and you say, well, if we get it up to that, then your running will improve. That sounds quite kind of like blunt instrument, doesn't it? But that's quite a good way of showing them, well, yeah, actually I need to change that because I need to get that number up at the very minimum. How do I do that? And then you go on to the road of, right, I need to eat better, calories, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. The hard bit is trusting that it's going to work. Like, I'm now at what I would consider a normal weight. I don't weigh myself. But the thing is, it's always there though. We've got scales in the bathroom. I've not weighed myself in months, but I see them and go, I wonder where I'm at. And then if I did and I was like 76 kilos or something like that, random number, and I'd be looking at that and be thinking, oh well, I used to be that. So, but the fact that you got to look at is, am I running well? And I'm running better than I have ever, I think, or more rounded than I have ever. So it's like, that's the only parameter you need to work out, is like, am I performing as well as like, running for me is performance. That's why I train, to perform better. Am I performing well? Yes. I'm obviously eating the right amount then. Eating enough.
Yeah.
Potentially could eat more, potentially could eat less, but I'm performing well, and that's what matters. And I'm performing well over a longer period of time than a couple of months. And that's the only factor that really makes a difference if you're training for it. You know, lighter does make an impact, definitely, but I'd rather be slightly heavier and running for 6 years constantly than slightly lighter and running for 6 months at a time.
And did you speak to anyone outside of just getting a blood test at the time?
Again, Martin Cox was he's really knowledgeable guy about that sort of stuff, and
he's incredibly knowledgeable, isn't he?
Yeah. And he was the factor that got me back into running properly, to give him his dues. You know,
I always worry when I do see, because it is sometimes quite obvious when you see somebody is on that kind of slippery slope. It's how to address it, isn't it? Sometimes, you know, if you don't know them particularly well, but you kind of want to say something, but also at the same time, it's like, how do you say it? Exactly. Especially if it's like, say, like a young woman who's just coming into the sport or has been in the sport, but you don't know them that well. I suppose it's like having that initial conversation, isn't it? But I suppose raising the awareness of the issue on a podcast like this, if somebody's listening, that might be a way of kind of, you know, if we're talking about it, then people might listen in that way.
And it is like, I find it like acutely embarrassing talking about that sort of stuff sometimes, you know, when you talk about things like like your libido dropping massively, it's like, that's pretty personal sort of stuff, but it's what happens, and it's recognizing that sort of stuff, and like, I think generic advice is quite good for that sort of thing. It's like, if you're concerned that your performance is dropping, then it might not be because you're not training enough. It might be because you're not eating enough, or if you recognise some of the things that we've talked about this before, like you're quite a fussy eater when there's no reason to be fussy, or you're weighing yourself loads. Like, the only factor that matters if you're training for running and you want to compete at the best is your performance. And if that's going down, then there's a reason behind it. And if it's staying at how it is and going up, then you're probably doing something quite right.
It's about striking that balance, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, and it's just, if you have that as your baseline, then work from there really. But yeah,
it's a basic sport, running, isn't it? But it can become quite complicated the more you get into it. I'm not just talking about kit and technology and things like that, but it's the more you train, the more you have to look after yourself as well, don't you? Because I think people as well, and I've certainly been guilty of this, is I just think, right, if I just do all these training sessions, this and this, and everything will fall into place. But actually, you've got to think about your sleep and your recovery and, you know, the space between your training sessions and ultimately, like what you said, how you fuel yourself as well. There's a lot to consider, isn't there, as you become more immersed in the sport?
Yeah, you're constantly on that fine line, on a razor's edge. Like you're a racehorse pretty much, aren't you?
Yeah, you
know?
are.
So and you see them trotting out Ascot or whatever, and you know they're prime condition. It's like, but it doesn't take long.
Their libido looks all right when I see them.
I've seen the videos. And it's just that sort of thing of, you know, you're on the razor's edge.
Yeah, you are.
And you can very easily, you can find yourself being absolutely amazingly fit and then you just get ill for some reason. It's because your body's absolutely baggered.
Yeah, it is.
And
you're treading a fine line. You're walking a line.
And so anything you can do to get longevity in running but maintain that sharpness, is going to be worth its weight in gold, isn't it? So.
Yeah, and I think if you want to have a long, sustained career in the sport, you have to play the long game, don't you? Look after yourself. And yeah, of course, you can have like ups and downs within the sport, but ultimately you want to be looking after yourself over a period of time so you can keep running when you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, even into your 80s.
And I'm not an expert. I'm sure George wouldn't call himself an expert in Red S or anything.
Not at all, no.
But what I will say is, like, we had the same coach for a long time, and Martin, and he was always good at, like George says, he was always asking questions about outside of my actual running, and I've always tried to put that into my own coaching. And it's not that everyone has to rush out and get a running coach, but it can be within your peers or circle of friends and stuff like that. If you're out on a run, like just talking about your week or something, you could notice something and then just get them to talk a bit more maybe. Like you said, I've done it in the past, and it's not in a Red S situation, but yeah, running is performance to most people, but also a lot of people are out there just for enjoyment, but also a lot of people out there running to lose weight sometimes. And it's you're right, it's catching a fine balance. But I think for me it would be, just don't be scared to at least ask questions. Yeah. Have
you had to have those hard conversations with some of your athletes, Gary, like the people that you coach?
Never to the I've to be honest, I've always been, part of the way I coach, I just always ask questions. And usually if I'm always asking questions, people become more comfortable giving me answers, and it's a safe space, for want of a better word. And a lot of the time it's in a group situation, and something will come off the back of it. And usually it's them making the decision. And it's sometimes, it is, because going for blood tests is usually a good way of, if we both come to that conclusion, then, and it's, in this instance, it's George's decision to go for the blood test, and then at least you've got a starting point or a bit of an answer to where you're at. And this doesn't just play into Red S either. It's been other situations, rarely, to be honest, but it does happen, and it's usually, you've got to have someone to be asking, because it's all right saying, I know people in other areas it's good to talk or whatever, but it's like it's not easy. So you've got to have someone that's asking questions a lot of the time. So it's my job to ask them questions about their life and stuff. And usually they talk about their dog or about their tea, but sometimes it's really important at the same time. And you'll, at the end, 3 weeks down the line, you're having the same conversation, and they've gone for blood tests, and then you've got a bit of an answer. But you kind of have to put the ball in their court a little bit. It has to be their decision a little bit.
Having that second set of eyes as well really helps.
Yeah.
Like just someone, it could be an offhand comment. Like I put a picture up of myself on Instagram of what I looked like when I was climbing more compared to what I looked like when I was running more. And it was just basically, look how much weight I've lost. I'm mint.
Yeah.
Which is fucking bizarre, because I look back at it now and go, no, that's a cry for help. Like, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
You know, I had whopper biceps, believe it or not,
when
I was climbing more, and then I've come along, I've got like little twig arms. And I see it now and I look at it and go, flipping out, that was a bit dumb that. And like my wife says, like, oh, you got like knots in cotton sort of arms. Like I used to like it when you're bigger and all that sort of stuff, and you think, oh, I'm not too bad, I'm in good runner's shape. And now I compare myself to other runners and go, I'm bigger compared to other runners.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm just the right size. Like, I'm still running okay. Like, there's people that are 10 kilos heavy, there's people that are 10 kilos lighter. We're still running, we're still competing at the same sort of level. Yeah. That's the important thing again.
And it's also like, not everyone that's super thin, for want of a better word, is unhealthy either.
No, exactly. That's the other thing.
That's the problem you've got, isn't it? There's lots of healthy, very healthy.
Yeah, that's the flip side.
And I speak to women that have got, not that problem, but they're just naturally thin, but they're very healthy with it. We know they're healthy as well, and sometimes that's not great either for them, is it? Because they feel like they're constantly having to push back at the fact that I'm healthy and fit and healthy, and I'm just like running. Yeah,
and it's the language that you put around stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's hard because again, like three men sat around a table talking about women and red S. It's like I find that one of the uncomfortable bits. I mean, to be honest,
one of the guests I'd love to get on, and you'll both know, is Rebecca Robinson. She's doctor. She's an expert in this field. She's also an elite athlete and has been for many, many years. She's actually from Kendal, so maybe as a follow up to this, I don't know if she's listening, but I'd love to get her on, and we can talk about even more. But like you said, it's nice from a female perspective as well, because three men talking about this issue, like you said, it does affect men, but probably affects women more as well.
It appears to be much more documented in women because maybe the symptoms are that much more exaggerated potentially, and it's potentially again easier to spot, but with a caveat that it's three blokes talking about this, and I don't really know what I'm about. But from a male point of view, I am sure there's people. I mean, I didn't know you had the same issues that I was having, and that's the thing. Like, even if it's just from this point of view, there's runners that run a lot, like ourselves, that run to or have run, and maybe will again to a high level. So it can affect absolutely anybody. You don't have to be like, I don't know. You might look to some people like you're absolutely okay and everything, but everyone's going through something, aren't they, in this sort of sense.
And I think men just generally, I know we are just rubbish at talking about stuff like that, aren't we? Yeah, even not just that topic, but if I get a niggle, I just run through it as well. And I'm just that kind of, like, I've just got that mentality where, I'll be all right next week. I'll just go through it. If I feel rubbish, or if I'm, feel a bit depressed one day or whatever it is, I just kind of get on with it. And it's not the best way to do it, is it? Sometimes you just got to talk about it and don't be afraid to ask for help as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, there's always someone that knows more than you, and there's always someone that's better than you and stuff. So just have that sort of mindset for stuff. I think.
When you, so bringing it back in a little bit, when you found out, was it a bit of a shock that your iron and your ferritin number was so low? Were you, this might be the wrong word, or were you motivated or excited about the fact that you kind of had an answer to?
Oh, right. I thought you were going to say, were you motivated? Like, sick,
no, I'm going to get this to zero.
Yeah, come on. I would not really.
Or was it like, fuck, what have I done, kind of thing?
No, I was completely ignorant to it.
Yeah.
And it was just that mindset of like, well, I suppose that explains things. Let's just get it back up then.
Yeah.
And I mean, it didn't take long, but I was vegetarian at the time. There's nothing wrong, I don't think, with the vegetarian diet, but you just got to watch what you're eating a bit more, and hence why I was so low in iron. So I've gone from vegetarian diet, went out to the Alps, and I was eating like calf's liver and stuff like that to bump the iron back up. So gone literally the exact opposite. Just going into the French supermarket and I'll have
gone full liver king.
yeah. Pretty much. Just like
throwing Guinness in the camelback.
Everything, and just like bumping it, like shooting it right back up. And yeah, have you ever had liver and that before? You got to soak that thing in milk, like, because it's disgusting.
No. Yeah, I don't like the taste of and all the consistency, like, but yeah, you're right. I mean, it's a
superfood in that sort of sense. Yeah,
really
but
is.
I mean, the ethics of eating that part of it, or carbs anyway, is pretty horrendous. But anyhow, it served a purpose, and I was back sort of running and well again after a few months. But yeah, it was a kick up the ass, and I needed it. But I don't think I was just aware of the seriousness of it, to be honest. I was completely naive to it and ignorant to it.
But now, are you like, you feel like you're back on an even keel? I know you obviously had the injury, but in terms of like your health and your energy, you feel like that's back to normal now? You've managed to get on top of everything. You're in a routine now. You're fueling.
I've certainly got no excuses for being slow anymore, I don't think. In that sort of sense. So that's a bit of a worry. We were talking about it before, weren't we? I just felt tired now.
Yeah,
I mean, you're slow. Let's put it in perspective. Is other people's like ridiculously quick, isn't it? But I know what you mean. You always compare to where you've been at some point in stages in your running career. So
or where you want to go as well. Like I'm looking at. We talked about looking at trying to qualify for the uphill team this year, and I'm looking at it now like, fucking hell, that's a bit daft. That
and the standards are ridiculously high,
crazy,
isn't it?
Crazy big, But so we'll see. So hopefully, on a bit more of an even keel now and all that sort of stuff, and have been for a couple of years, really.
Yeah, no, it's good to hear, George. Yeah.
So come back from it, but it's just one of them. You go through it, don't you? I think.
Yeah, you do, and it's also difficult as well going through an injury like you both have. You've had a serious injury. I'm lucky that I've only had like minor injuries, but when you're out of the game for so long, it's hard to stay in the game and not get that FOMO. But you've done a great job of like switching to photography as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
Like, to keep your hand in almost. I know that might just be, a weird thing for me to say, but I think it's been nice for you to go to races and still be involved in the sport, hasn't it? Even when you know you can't run. Has that helped you?
100%, yeah. And there was times when it got to a head when I went to go and watch the Hodgson's relays a couple of years ago, and I was properly injured. Didn't have an outcome. Didn't know what was wrong with me.
So you don't know how long you're going to be out for, do you?
Exactly.
And I know you were really down about it because we spoke a few times.
It was horrendous, yeah. And like you're properly. I mean, I wasn't to the stage where it was depression or anything, obviously like that. But you're down, you're pretty glum. Like.
It's hard to put a label on these things, but it probably wasn't, in some shape or form, wasn't it? Because I know how much running means to you. So
yeah, and I got to Hodgins, didn't want to get out of the car. I was just like sat there, like didn't know that it was raining, but also like, I don't want to get out of the car. This is rubbish. And then went and got my camera and just thought, I'll just go and take a couple of pictures of the finish line, whatever, and then just got more into it. And then just having a different outlet where, exactly like you say, you're still in the scene, you're still seeing your mates and all that sort of stuff and people you race with, but you've got more of a creative sort of outlet as well, a reason to be walking up the fells and stuff and a reason to go to these races. And then you take a couple of pictures and people are kind enough to say some nice stuff about them. And you go, if you knew what I don't know about photography, you wouldn't be saying that's just pure luck. And then you start, but it gives you confidence. It's like when someone tells you you're good at something, you think, oh, maybe I am. So you start to go into a bit more, and then you take more pictures, learn a bit more about cameras and stuff like that, go to more races, keep in with the scene, and it just becomes this, again, self-fulfilling prophecy where you just like, you're in the scene, you're part of it still, you're still a face around it, and you're doing something different that allows you to do stuff. And then I learned more about photography. It took me so long to realise that if you just hold your finger down the shutter, you take more than one picture. So I was there going, click, 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 like that, just like missing, getting 3 shots of someone like running past. Whereas you just hold your finger down, you get 20 shots, and it's like, oh, I'll just pick out the best one out of them.
Mate, you've got pretty good as well. I enjoy your pictures now.
You
can see them get better as well, over the last few years.
Yeah.
They're really good.
Yeah.
I can always see, do you know what I appreciate? And this isn't because I'm not a photographer at all, but I can always see photography from like a runner's eye.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, because George is a runner first, I can always not spot those shots, but it's from a runner's view.
Yeah, I think
and you'd
so.
stop in a place where a runner might stop, or a runner would want to look back, that kind of thing. That's what I always like when I've seen some of George's shots. Yeah.
No, that's what I try and do. I mean, it's by no means going to be like a career or anything like that, but it's just nice to take pictures.
Yeah, it is.
And it's nice that the Fell Runner magazine likes some stuff like that, so they use them in that. And it's just, you get a bit of an ego boost from, that's my photo, that's my photo in there. But also there's people that message you and go, oh, cheers for the photo or something. I don't take photos of absolutely everybody. It's because I don't like to charge people for it. There's other people that do that. I don't want to step on their toes. But talking of which, people like Steve Wilson, he's been amazing for just helping me out with stuff. He's
a great guy.
Yeah, people that don't
Massive
know.
Leeds fan as well.
Yeah,
Big shout out to Steve. Yeah.
Grand Day Out Photography is his thing, and I always see him at races, and I'm always conscious I don't want to get in his way. But he's just like, oh, that's I look at this sort of thing, and he tells me what he's looking for and stuff. And then with the runner's point of view, it's like, yeah, cool. I take what he says, but I think maybe that might be a bit better, and I try going over there or something, because that way I know that's a really hard part of the climb. I know that's a line that most of the runners might take, or that will give you this sort of view, and then so you've got it from that point of view and take a picture and go, oh, actually that's come out okay.
Plus you end up, I guess, because I was doing it when I was injured for that year, I ended up going to races to do some basically stupid videos, but I would know from a runner's point of view, like you said, where is the hard bit, or where is there a bog, or where is a really good descent where I'll catch people.
Yeah.
And I'd ended up having a really good day of hiking around the hill just from getting to a couple of different spots that I knew would be good for a video.
Yeah.
And it's like, you come back feeling at least accomplished in that kind of terms.
Yeah, it's an achievement thing.
Yeah.
It's not the same as having run the race,
No.
but you've achieved something that day.
Yeah.
You've been creative. You've got out and about. You've seen some people. You've socialised and that, and so you've had a good day.
Yeah.
You just haven't raced, so
Yeah.
you've had a great day.
And as soon as you get back to racing, you want to drop that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so now like it's dropped right off. And I remember like I was on crutches, having just had this surgery thing, and I went to go and watch Blake Fell race out west, and it was a miserable day. And I was going up this side of this fence in a bog, and my crutch was getting stuck, and I was like, "Oh, fuck this!" And I was taking pictures, and they come out absolutely
I
rubbish.
wish I was there with the camera.
Oh, I was like, "What am I doing here?" And I took pictures, and they come out absolutely rubbish. And I was like, "Oh, I've had a great day because I've gone out and tried to take pictures, and I've learned something about my camera work, and I've learned something about don't use crutches in bogs and all that sort of stuff." And I thought, I can't wait to do that again. So I had an opportunity to go and take photos at Blencathra race on Wednesday just gone, and it was disgusting weather, and I completely wrapped my tits in. I was like, I'm not going out in this, like, and just couldn't be bothered. So I've gone from like thinking I'm dead hard and going up in Blake Fell and on crutches and taking pictures to like, nah, the moment it turns wet, I'm like a cube of sugar. Can't be arsed.
I was chatting to Corny the other day about the Blencathra race because they'd given you the option, or I know you didn't run it, but they're giving people the option of like going up the first climb or going up the valley, hadn't they, this time?
Oh, did they?
So there was a bit of route choice involved, which was like Marmite, I think.
Yeah, that explains. I saw someone did like a little race report on Instagram saying, "Oh yeah, start off the race and everyone went in a different direction."
Yeah,
I mean, hold on a minute.
I know Sam, the organizer, is a great lad. He gave people this point the opportunity to go up the valley and miss out essentially that first climb and just come into it in a different way. It's a big advantage actually going up the valley.
Is it?
Yeah, definitely less climb and shorter route as well. So it created a bit of controversy. You don't get much controversy these days in fell running, do you?
You don't,
but,
do you?
But
No,
yeah,
no.
that one. I think next year it might be back to the old classic route because that I would say is my favourite midweek fell race.
Seriously,
Blencathra. I think
everyone
it's
says
brilliant.
that sort of thing. I've never done it.
I love it. Yeah, it's a great race.
It starts in Mungriso, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. It's a fantastic route, and I just love Blencathra as a mountain anyway.
Isn't it? Yeah.
And it's not often you do Blencathra, or I certainly don't do it from that side as well because you're coming from the back. I always tend to park at Threlkeld and go up from the front.
Yeah.
I've never done it.
Do you go over like Bowscale?
Yeah, do you know what? I'm not 100% sure of. I don't know it too intimately to know the names.
Crag or Fell Crag or something like that.
Yeah, I'm
up
not
towards Blencathra that direction. So you've got Sharp Edge to your left.
Yes, no, you've got Sharp Edge to your right.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so you come the other direction. So Sharp Edge is on your right hand side as you're running across.
Right.
And then it's a lovely descent coming back down as well. You've got like another climb after you've done Blencathra. A descent and a climb, and then it finishes obviously where it starts. Cool. But great race. Yeah,
it looks good.
Recommend that one. So I think it might be back to how it is next year because it's.
He's regretted it.
Yeah, I think so. But great lad is Sam, and kudos for putting it on as well. Because
definitely, it seems to be coming harder and harder to put races on for some reason.
Yeah, it's a challenge, isn't it? And there's a lot of races about now. I mean, I know we've talked about a lot of things on this podcast, but I do want to just talk about one of your greatest achievements, George. We can't not have a podcast without talking about your Bob Graham. We just had Andy Berry on, who has just smashed out an amazing time.
All right, go on.
Right, cheers. But when you ran the Bob Graham, was it 2 years ago? 2 years ago.
No, 2020.
2020. Is it that long ago? Bloody hell,
half a decade,
Jesus Christ.
Half a decade.
Wow, time flies. Yeah. You set the fastest time, for a UK athlete, didn't you?
For a normal runner.
I mean,
we
talked on the podcast about Jack Quenzel's record and Killian, but before Finlay had to go and before Andy had to go, you came straight in, mate, and ran an unbelievable time. So kudos for that. And it just shows your range as well. We've talked about you doing a VK up to ultra distance, but how was the Bob Graham? How does that rank in your list of achievements?
It was good. I mean, I was pleased with it, but as someone pointed out in a nice little article, I only went 9 minutes faster than Billy Bland. So it's not amazing, is it? Really, in
I mean, it is
sense.
pretty amazing.
but
given
a difference, and that's not to say Billy Bland's time was crap or anything like that, but it wasn't a significant chunk off that, and it was still a massive chunk off Killian's. So like a massive way behind Killian's sort of time. But
I've spoken to you before though, and it's like, this is going to probably annoy a lot of people, but you hadn't really focused on it or put a massive...
Not at all. I mean, I genuinely hadn't...
essentially.
And Killian is Killian, isn't it? Let's be honest. He's a professional athlete.
I mean, Killian's range is wild, eh?
Yeah.
I hadn't put... It was... Not to be blasé, but it was on a whim.
Yeah.
In the sense that I wasn't training for it at all. I had supported Kim Collison's Lakes 24 in, when did he do that, June of that year. Beth Pascal did leg 5 with her, which is, it's not exactly too strenuous of a run, when she did her women's record in the July, I think it was. And then I was actually out in the Alps training for All Tracks, that 30k mountain race one.
Yeah.
And then with a view of doing the short trial for the GB team for Thailand, which was meant to be that year, which was a 40k sort of race. And that got cancelled a couple of weeks before it was meant to happen. Not sure why, probably to do with COVID or something like that. So then it was like, right, well, I'm quite fit, but I've not run over a couple of hours in a couple of years, really. But then I got quite psyched by Beth's time and thought, fucking 14:30, that's good.
Inspiring
That,
time.
Or 14:34 is really good. I reckon I could probably get around that sort of time on the bob. Might just have a crack at the bob. I'm quite fit. Not obviously haven't done any specific sort of training for it, but I've been in the Alps and I'm quick. So I had a little do around it on a couple of days over a weekend, and then see if anyone's around to help. This was sort of mid-September, and then it got to start of October, and a few people come together, and we can help you out with it. So went around it, and I mean, I knew I could do a quick time, like quicker than Billy's, based on the recce I'd done. So I'd done like leg 1 and 2, or 1, 2, and 3 on one day, and then the next day I did 4 and 5, or 3, 4, and 5, whatever it was, and did them in quite a quick time combined, but obviously with a good sleep in between. And then just went and had a run around it, basically. And it went well, but it's amazing, like how, again, it's such a learning curve. Like I got to Dunmore Race, my wife turned up randomly, and I just had a crack with her 5 minutes, just chatting. And I was like, we should probably get going, sort of thing. And sound. And off we went, and then lost some bottles on leg 3. Like chucked one to Ben Abdul, and I think he just dropped it. And we lost it, so I was like, I haven't got any water for this bit then. So you just make stupid mistakes. And then Corny, not against Corny, but he gave me the crap line off Scarfell. And like last minute, it was like, I think I know a faster line. I was like, sound okay. So we went down this, I was like, I'm not liking this one bit. But anyhow, so...
It'll have been a dangerous line knowing Corny, won't it?
It was very direct. It was, and I think if I knew about it, it would have been great. And then when we got to... Wasdale, it was just stood around for a little bit, took my shoes off, emptied stones out, that sort of stuff. So it was just, there's bits where you could easily make up time.
I mean, it's an incredible time that you've ran, and it's still ranking number 5 on the all-time list, is it? It is number 5. It's number 5 on the all-time list, which is amazing, George. Absolutely amazing. Is there any appetite to go back at any point in the future?
Yeah, I think there is. Like now that I know that.
Now he's older.
Now I'm older and a bit wiser, now that I know that I won't be very fast anymore. No, just seeing Andy Berry's time, and it's not the competition of beating Andy. It's just seeing like, that's what can be achieved by someone who's relatively under the radar.
We spoke to Andy about that very thing, didn't we? Yeah. Hopefully, other people see that and give it another crack.
That was my thought behind it. It was like, and it's not false modesty. I genuinely thought, fucking hell, if I can do it, come on. Yeah, anyone can do this.
Yeah, I remember shortly after that you were genuinely, and we went for running stuff, and you were genuinely saying, I hope people go and...
Yeah.
I think...
Because I thought people... I said to you in that podcast once, because I was lucky enough to be on Beth's as well, and you had that one, I thought it was going to kick on much more, a lot quicker.
I thought as well,
in those next few years. I know we had... Was lockdowns after that?
It was in the middle of lockdown, in the mix, wasn't
it? In that weird time. But I just thought it would kick on more.
I think you proved, though, George, at the time when you did it as well, because you beat Billy's time, like it could be done, because I don't think anybody thought it could be broken. Like, that's genuinely what people thought, wasn't it? I think it was left alone. I said this on
British
Andy's
time, definitely, and like seeing Killian, and even then, Billy got put on a pedestal, as he's talked about before, of like, if Billy can't run that fast, or faster than that, then no one can, sort of thing. Yeah. And then when Killian did it, it's like, well, if no one's going to beat Killian's time, and so I didn't even contemplate trying to run harder than my target was Billy's time, or not even that really. My target was run as fast as I could for it. Yeah.
And while having a chat at every checkpoint.
Yeah, but with the idea of like, well, that's, there's so much time you can make up on that sort of stuff. And when Jack Kensel did it and had his really quick time, beat Killian's time, I thought, I had a chat with Jack and I couldn't support him unfortunately because I was working, but we talked about route choice, all that sort of stuff. I had a good crack about it. And he was saying like, the thing that struck a chord with me was like, it's a race. He kept talking about it like it's a race.
Yeah.
And I had never had that mindset before of like, this is just a run. Because he'd done all the
homework about where Killian slowed down or where he had
properly
like this.
He treated it like a race, and like, oh no.
You're spilling it. Remember,
Broke
on
Nicky.
did you ever used to play Colin McRae on the PlayStation? And you'd be like on ghost mode.
yeah, and you can see
You'd like time trialing,
lines,
but you'd be
Mario
racing
Kart used to do
against
that
the
as well,
ghost
I think.
mode.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
how I
yeah.
imagine how you have to be.
Yeah.
Well, that's the
You
mindset.
have to be
It's
Colin
a race.
McRae
You're
Valley
racing
mode.
against the clock, and if you wanted to try and get a really fast time, you've got to race it. And that for me was like, right, next time, if I ever do this again, I'm going to race it. I'm going to do it properly
Yeah.
and devote the time to it. Like,
I think
Others
now
have.
Because the ground will have been a bit soft as well, wasn't it, that time?
it was October, yeah, so it was just a bit sort of mulchy in that.
Yeah.
in places, so.
Because I know I watched Killian and Jack, and both got great, like obviously conditions for it, and not just on the day but in the build up as well. But I'd like to think that with what you've done, with what Finley's done, and Andy recently, like going for the record and just putting it out there,
Yeah.
massive respect. I think now people will see it as an achievable target, as something that's completely impossible. And I'm not saying that many people will be able to beat that record, because they can't, we know that, but I'd like to think that
Just go for it, yeah. And I think that's the mindset difference. Like Finley and Andy, they weren't going to beat my time, they were going to beat Jack's time.
Yeah,
That's the difference. I wasn't going anywhere near the record at the time. Killian's just didn't have it in my head that I could get anywhere near it. Whereas they're going, I'm going for not just fastest British or English or whatever the fuck you want to say. Like, I'm going for the fastest time.
yeah.
And that's the mindset change as well. Because
Ask him what you want to ask.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to ask you about Paul's.
Oh.
And then if you, I got it big guns off Andy.
I need to shoot, to be honest with you. That's me. So. Go on,
I think
then.
Andy's falling out with me.
Go on. Then. Did Andy use them? I didn't say.
Andy
No,
did-
wait. Let him answer
Oh, go on,
first.
go on.
What are your thoughts on? Oh God, I'm gonna get hammered here. Right? What are your thoughts on that original Billy record and the records with Paul's? Like, do you think there should be two separate records? Dare I ask that?
Two separate records. That's a new one.
Have we not come across that yet? No.
No.
Ben dug himself a right.
Oh,
up.
Andy battered me. Yeah, he came back. Yeah.
I genuinely don't know. I mean, they help me, definitely. I use them sparingly. I use them twice on Steelfell, climbing up Steelfell, and climbing up Ubarra, coming out of Wasdale. That's the only time I used
I
them.
was going to say out in Wasdale.
I kept them stupid little gloves on throughout, just in case I needed them.
They look good though, don't
Oh,
they?
they look snazzy like. And then
Help you when your hands on. Like.
yeah. And I remember passing them to what's his name? I can't remember his name. Flipping out. Neil Talbot.
Yeah.
Who helped me on leg 2. I passed them to him, and he's very anti-poles. And it was just like almost like I passed him some sort of like
Did he just javelin him off
stick.
there?
He was just like, whoa, like that. Oh god. Where do I stand on poles? They help me. I wouldn't use them again, because I think ethically you've got to try and beat what was done before, the way they did it as best you can. And Billy didn't either have access to poles or didn't use poles, definitely, and therefore that's a standard, that's a style to beat. So, for example, like Finley Wild's only during the hours of nighttime, winter time that he did, like that's just literally pissing on everybody, isn't it? That's a dick swinging competition.
He's a different breed, isn't he?
Yeah,
Finley?
but that now, even though it's no longer the fastest winter time, that's a style to beat. Unfortunately, that's as pure style as you can get. That's the best style that I've seen anyway that you can get. So therefore, with I'm not sure what Jack used. He probably didn't use poles, did he?
I'm not sure. I think
Or maybe he did.
I think he did, yeah.
Did he use them? I know,
So potentially then,
Killian did.
if that's now the style in which it's been done, well, no, because Finley didn't use them. So by that, in his summer one, so by that sort of measure, maybe that it's not the fastest time, obviously, but maybe that's the best stylistically that's been done.
Yeah.
So it's a question of
Sounds like
style,
a
isn't it?
politician's answer.
That's
that,
a-
doesn't it?
It's a good answer, George. It's a good answer. Yeah.
So
No,
it's-
and everyone's got a different opinion.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying there's
There
a
isn't a
right
right
or
or
wrong.
wrong.
No,
Yeah.
it's just a discussion point. And I said that
it's
to
where
Andy,
you
like,
sit on that sort of
it's where you sit, isn't it? And I'm not taking away
No, we
anything
can-
from anybody who's done a Bob Graham, because
Yeah.
it's an amazing achievement, and that top end, your time included.
I'm
Isaac,
at
is
the point of view, if someone
unbelievable.
wants to break that record now, they have to go and use poles, because they
think
don't
they
have
have
to.
to.
But that's how the record's been broken with the poles, haven't they? So yeah, it depends how you want to go at it. Like you say,
Exactly that. It's personal choice. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
they undoubtedly helped me on the climb, on the climbs that I used them
Yeah.
on. Undoubtedly did, but I probably wouldn't have been much slower if I hadn't used them.
Yeah.
I don't think I might have even been quicker, because I don't like using poles when I race, when I've raced the longer stuff, because I think for me they just get in the way, and I've tried. It's not just I've used them on one run and gone, oh, they're not for me. I've trained and trained for them for months, and I still think I'm more efficient without them. So I probably wouldn't use them again if I had another crack. But if you know how to use them well and you're efficient with them, then they're going to help you.
Yeah.
And I do think, like I said, even though they're not the best for me, they did help on them 2 times I used them.
Yeah.
So, you know, if that's not good enough for some people, that's fine. Like, it was good enough for me at the time.
Yeah. No,
So I'll
good
take
answer, George. Good answer. Everyone's going to be different on this and sit on a different side of the fence. But yeah, massive respect, mate, because that's some incredible time. It'd be great to see you back out there doing it again and going for it. I'd love to see what you can do.
I'm going to do it really under the radar.
Yeah.
Because then if I pile in, then no one's going to know. I'll be absolutely fine. But if I do it well, I'm going to absolutely have
And
big
if
fanfare.
George Foster can't beat the record, who do you think can beat the record? Who's capable of doing it? And or who would you like to see beat the record?
There's loads out there, isn't there? I'd love to see, and this is completely out of nowhere, Grant Cunliffe. I'd love to see him go and do it.
Yeah,
just because
Grant's
he's
a
funny
great guy,
like him, you know. And he was at Nisego last couple of weeks back, and then when we were there, we were just chatting on because Nick Jackson was doing the Scaffold Sky Race, which was the short GB trail, so the short trail race, 40k.
And he was third, wasn't he?
Yeah, and Grant hadn't entered on that weekend.
Oh, really?
And he was like, fuck it, I'll enter that.
He nearly won it as well.
Yeah, come third.
Yeah. I spoke to him and he said he
that's
just lost it
range.
near the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
And probably didn't wear the right shoes either. He said like he'd
Did you see what he was wearing at Nisego?
Well, oh yeah, I did. Yeah,
Not
not good.
Speeds, road shoes.
I did.
No, but he had an absolute flyer. It was
He had a good run at Mercedes.
Yeah.
Not as well in the VK,
Not in the VK,
but in the
yeah.
up and down, which suits him more because he's a descendant
flying.
of Grant, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely fine in that.
Yeah, so respect to him.
Yeah.
It would be
I
good to see
just-
Grant. I never thought that name
No.
and linked it with the BG, but it would be nice. It'd be great. And Grant's a great lad.
I love his attitude. I absolutely, genuinely love his attitude because he was a bit fanboyish, I suppose. He shouldn't be because he's just fucking Grant. But and it's the first time I properly met him. But he was training for a marathon, wasn't he? And he cut out drinking and all that sort of stuff. And by his standard or by his account, he didn't have a very good run. So now he's back on the booze and all that sort of stuff and eating like pie and chips and things. It's so good. So
he's rock and roll.
we need to have a good run.
Great lad.
Finley Wild obviously could. He's an absolute machine. He's at the point where the Kenyans were for me at Nisego. When you see them on the start list, you're like, well, I'm not racing for first. And so when you see Finley's time, even people when they go on Strava, they're talking about going and doing Dudden or Ennerdale or whatever. Did he run Ennerdale? I think he did. And they're saying like, well, we're just racing for second. And that's literally, so that's the standard, that's a pedestal.
That's a stigma attached to Finley now, isn't it?
Yeah. So I mean, there's tons. Ben Rothery could have a really good run. He had a good T-round run, didn't he?
We asked Andy actually. He said Ben Rothery as well. And I think he could do a good job there as well.
Yeah.
I think Andy as well.
Andy Berry again.
Yeah, and
is he keen to
and Josh? Yeah, definitely. And Josh Wade, perhaps.
Josh Wade could go
I've always thought John Alban will have a good crack.
John Alban. I thought he would have gone this year potentially because Henrietta did so well.
Tom
last
Evans
year,
keeps saying he's putting his name down.
Tom
he?
Evans.
He keeps putting a date down and then bottling it basically.
We'll see.
And what about the other Tom Roach as well?
Tom Roach,
the Black Horse, the Dark Horse.
Yeah. There's loads, isn't there? There really is loads. Like maybe a few years ago when I did it, I would have been maybe not someone that you would have thought, but so there's people out there don't even know about yet that would have really would have.
Watch this space.
Watch this space. Yeah, definitely. I think.
When you do it, you'll have to come on here first.
Yeah. Give us exclusive. Andy gave us an exclusive, which we really appreciate. That. So give us an exclusive. Yeah. Don't go to like Hello Magazine first.
I absolutely milk fuck out of it as well. I did about 5 or 6 podcasts.
You can milk it on our podcast, milk it on ours, but give us an exclusive,
exactly the same thing. It's like, how was the Bob? Yeah, it was all right, yeah. There's only so many times you can listen to that, isn't there? It's like, I ran and then leg 1 was like this and leg 2 was like that and leg 3 was like this. Fucking... Come on, man. Get something different.
Get the contract out, Gary. We'll sign him now and get him in for that.
I'll get you a new hat.
I'll get you a new set of poles.
Oh, no. I've sold my poles. There's none left now, yeah. Got a good practice as well.
And on that note, we'll call it do only because I'm desperate for a wee.
Oh, yeah.
We've gone over an hour, haven't we? We can always tell it's been over an hour or even an hour and a half when me and Gary are squirming in our chairs. But
swinging around.
But we have got Tierney on next as well, so I know you need to catch up with him, which is good. We should have got you on both together. But thanks, George, for a really insightful podcast. I think we covered a lot of bases there, and you've been an amazing guest, so appreciate your time.
No, thanks very much.
Mate. Cheers, George.
And without further ado, we'll see you next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Well, not you, George, unless you watches.
No, I was going to say that's took me by surprise.
That's the catchphrase. That's the catchphrase. Yeah.
All right, good.
Gary loves it when I get that in there.
Yeah, he always loves to see you next Tuesday. And then the guest's like, oh shit, I've got to come back.
Well, yeah, panic then.
yeah, but we'll get you back on.
All right.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, only if you do something good. Though.
I know, I need to pull my finger out and do something.
But thanks, mate.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, cheers for that.
Top man, that was brilliant.
Cheers.
You can eat your brunch now, mate.
I know, yeah. My Nicky.
I nearly had it halfway through. I was feeling quite
Yeah.
peckish.